Hello guys, it's Dr. Anime. We're going to be recapping the anime Neppu Kairiku Bushi Road today. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video to help us grow. This anime takes set in a post-apocalyptic planet that has been decimated by deadly creatures that arrived on Earth via meteor. The Earth is utterly hopeless. The princess who witnessed her mother being erased by these aliens is the one who has the strength to fight these aliens even if it all appears hopeless. She was traveling with a group of people when she suddenly senses an alien presence. Keeping in mind that the aliens in this anime go by the terrible moniker Shinobi, the princess discovers a gathering of people attempting to present a girl to the aliens when she looks for the aliens' location. The aliens are getting close, so they try to talk them out of it. The princess and her driver board robots and head into battle when the aliens appear out of nowhere. After taking down the first and second, they release the female who is being held captive. As the princess pursues the last of the FOs, she witnesses humans engaging in solo combat with multiple aliens. She attempts to assist the boy and nearly loses, but the kid with the white hair gets up and vanquishes the adversaries. The story's protagonist stops the final extraterrestrial from attacking the villagers' humans. His evil metamorphosis disappears after he completes this, and the princess chooses to look after him. All of the princess's companions observe that the boy is adorable and appears to be immune to the aliens' venom while they are in her car. Upon awakening, the main character passes out from hunger. He then consumes rice that the females have given him, gorging himself like a famished beast. When he gets outside after eating, he sees the old guy putting in some stops that keep the aliens away. The protagonist should appreciate the princess for her assistance, advises the elderly guy. After locating her, he thanks the girl. During a dialogue, the main character introduces himself as Sue. The princess requests the man's assistance in driving out the aliens from this planet after witnessing him in action. He claims he's not as strong as he believes he is, and that everyone views him as a monster, but he still has the ability to do so before stepping into the situation. The elderly man returns to the car and says he has sat alongside persons whose power is comparable to the protagonist's. However, because of discrimination, there are no longer any people with this kind of power. Sue shows up the following day and offers to assist the princess in getting rid of the aliens. With joy, the girl rushes towards him and remarks that his eyes are so beautiful that he is not a monster. Embarrassed, the main character refers to her as a strange woman. They then kickstart the car and go off. The elderly Supremo provides the protagonist a brand new suit so he won't have to go around with these piercing clothes, and they go to a location where everything was destroyed by a meteor strike. They are traveling to this location in order to obtain the Jigaran, a legendary weapon. Human traditions from long ago claim that this weapon can destroy aliens and purify the earth. This holy weapon can be activated by a stone that the princess possesses. Sue remarks that he is aware of how to get here after hearing the tale. With assurance, the princess takes his words to heart, and the main character leads the way. As they approach the location, they were forced to leave the car and continue walking through a violent storm. There in the thick of a storm, Sue was wandering placidly, while the princess and the elderly were enclosed in machines. The princess and the elderly suddenly fall unwell and pass out, and several men in armor show up and take them into custody. Inside a room, the princess awakens without incident. Suddenly, a man shows up and tells them they were spared the poison from that location. He then leads the girl to a garden that is below earth. He'd taken her there with the intention of the great local monarch having a conversation with the princes of the Ice Empire. Sadly for the girl, the man in front of her takes away the holy weapon's key. When the girl requests the man to return the stone, he approaches her and advises her to give up on her absurd desire. The Grand Emperor interrupts the conversation to declare that it is too risky to ignite the sacred weapon. The speaker concludes by saying that people in Turai are capable of defending themselves and do not require saving. Princess Sadness perceives a flaw. As the Emperor extends his hand to assist her, Sue shows up and grabs the man. Following this encounter, the great Emperor departs, carrying the precious weapon's key. The two go together to meet up with her friends. There, after hearing the local emperor's speech, the princess has lost hope and is inclined to give up on her aim because she no longer possesses the stone. The old guy instructs the protagonist to pursue the princess after imparting some valuable knowledge to him. In the meantime, the man who is meant to be the great emperor bows to an elderly man in a distant location and receives instructions to kidnap the princess in order to wield the sacred weapon for the benefit of their empire. You would wield the holy weapon. After kissing the princess in the rain, the main character leads her to a covered area. The local ruler gives his deputy the command to remove the princess from Turai before following the old man's instructions. The princess sobs and declares herself worthless in their conversation with the main character. When Su sees her grin, he gives her a hug and says all he wants is to be at her side. Suddenly, the rain stops and people are walking around once more. After then, the main character picks up the princess and carries her for a stroll on his lap. After performing several risky antics, including picking her up on his lap and accelerating, the princess ultimately rides on top of him. Following this, the princess regains her confidence to obtain the sacred weapon, but some soldiers show up attempting to arrest her. Su immobilizes one of the enemies and threatens them. In the end, they are saved by the guy posing as the emperor's subordinate. After making their escape, they come across the attractive ruler. In a conversation, the girl tries to obtain the sacred weapon's key back. Following a brilliant speech from the girl, the man stretches out his necklace and tells them to kill him in order to obtain the key. Su assumes the front line and the battle commences. When he realizes that the protagonist is a unique being from an endangered race, the man becomes animated and the battle gets very lively. Su uses his special power to attack the enemy just as she is about to lose, and the emperor prepares for a fight to the death, but they are cut short when an attack from the Ice Empire's flying castle occurs. The princess doesn't understand how this is happening because the only people who should be able to move the castle die in the aliens' attack. Suddenly, a man named Tsukiyomi tells the people of Turai that resisting is pointless. The princess recognizes the man's voice and swears that he died during the castle invasion. The moment she considers this, the man uses a dark power to appear in front of her and claims that he merged with the aliens. After arresting everyone, the princess, Tsukiyomi states that his current objective is to eradicate humanity, but first he wants the sacred weapon for himself. Upon witnessing this, Su becomes enraged and an obscure armor covers his body, strengthening him. Using his strength, he presses his opponent, and Tsukiyomi uses an object to escape in order to avoid defeat. A long time later, Su awakens in a Turai hospital. Gazing at his hand, the protagonist recalls that the princess contained his fit of rage and that after that he fainted. Despite the passage of time, his hands continue to change. Princess and her elderly friend attempt to return to Turai from outside the city. Because the emperor has given them antidotes, at least this time they won't be harmed by the poison found in the area. The princess was finally getting close to the promised city when the flashbacks ended. She is pleased to be within the promised land, but her joy is fleeting since aliens soon come. When they spot multiple enormous FOs, they start to back off. The old guy moves in front of the enemy just as it is ready to strike the princess. It is at this very moment that I find that the elderly man's name is Sanda, as the princess calls out his name. Sanda refuses to back down, even after taking a strong blow, and orders the princess to continue on while he takes care of the adversaries. When the princess manages to break away from him, Sanda activates the infamous Autoblast button. He then begins battling on his own. Something starts to permeate throughout her body at this very time. However, the princess's ordeal did not result in her death, but rather in her being linked to a holy sword. The serpent begins to shatter as she gets to her feet and declares that Tsukiyomi will not be forgiven. The girl tries to buzz an automobile to him using the power of the sacred weapon, but he is able to send the power away. It appears that something is still lacking for a holy weapon created by humans to reach its full potential. On the battlefield, Turai's flying castle appears while Tsukiyomi makes fun of his opponent. Tsukiyomi orders the princess to shut up and strikes her when she tries to teach him a moral lesson. Turai's army loads an exploding ship and sails it in the direction of the enemy to greet the princess as she steps onto the vessel. Luckily, the emperor detects him and alerts the enemies to the impending ship explosion. Tsukiyomi boasts to the princess about his ability to manage the aliens. He claimed that his discovery had made him an immortal god. The man adds that there is no way for the aliens to procreate. They require this enormous trembling uterus in order for them to do so. Tsukiyomi said that earlier societies had sealed this enormous uterus. However, the seal was broken when she used the sacred weapon, meaning that there would now be more aliens on Earth. The spacecraft arrives and blows up, breaking the silence. Surin then turns to face the princess. After getting in touch with the princess, the main character finds out that old man Sanda has passed away. Prince starts to cry because she believes she is to blame for all the awful things that have transpired. Su then starts to come up to her, telling her everything that she means to him. The sacred weapon protection system launches an attack on him to protect the user as he gets closer to the female. Su claims that his biggest desire is to always be by our side, even taking the blows. He ultimately collapses in the girl's lap, bleeding profusely. After receiving a red needle blow from the machine, the two are transported within the hallowed weapon. The holy weapon takes on its actual form when they unite. It is actually much stronger than it usually is. Together, the two begin to attack Tsukiyomi. Inside the sacred weapon, the two wounded lovers unite completely and come to the obvious conclusion that they must aim at the enemy's core. Tsukiyomi begins to despair. In the middle of the battle, they find the core of all evil and move in to destroy it. With that, they hit the core and manage to destroy it. The sacred weapon runs out of energy and falls like a meteor to the ground. Su comes out of it alive, but unfortunately, his romantic partner is deceased. And that's it. Hopefully, you found the video entertaining. Remember to leave a comment below with any video recommendations you may have. As always, I'll be reading them all. In order to ensure that you don't miss any content from your DoctorAnime, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a like if you love the video.